Hello, OTG UK. I am so excited to be coming in here live today to share my top tips to help you run to Ruby with your social media. So just a little background before I get started. My name is Izzy Bradshaw. My background is in the central London property industry and absolutely loved that career. And then when I had my little boy Arthur, who is now 9, I found that I was having to make a decision about being a super present parent and also being the massively driven career woman that I had always been. And what culminated in that whole situation was that we ended up employing a full-time nanny, and I didn't see my son for about 11 hours every single day. And I would regularly sob on the way out of London. We had a big commute, my husband and I, also in the property industry, and I genuinely was just praying for an alternative. As somebody who knew she wanted to be a super present parent, yet she also knew that she always wanted to have a big career. And that was when I decided to retrain as a personal trainer, only I quickly found that that was trading money for time. That actually, when my husband was then around at the weekends, I was then doing PT classes, spin classes, boot camps, you name it. And as much as I loved helping people with their health, I quickly saw that it wasn't conducive to creating the family life that I wanted, and quite frankly, the income that I was used to as a result of the return on the investment of my time. And I knew there had to be another way. So I actually fell into another network marketing company that was fitness based. It was an online fitness platform, a fitness platform I had actually loved and experienced in the lead up to our wedding. I didn't know it was network marketing. My husband said, I think this is a pyramid scheme. I said, I don't know what a pyramid scheme is. I love these programs. I'm just going to give it a whirl. Well, a couple of months later, I had started to help quite a few clients, and I saw people building quite a big business, right? My husband has no desire to retire, yet there were, individuals retiring husbands. And I thought, wow, there must be more to this business than I realized. Fast forward to about 15 months later, I was #1 business builder for that company here in the UK. And I absolutely loved it. I loved being able to create communities, helping people financially, mentally, spiritually on their own growth journey. As somebody that in my role at Savills, where I ran an office for them in central London, I love to bring people up through the ranks. I love to help train them to then go on, and whether they remained in my office or they went on to do other things, I absolutely loved the reward of mentorship. So 6 years into that business, some of you guys know the story. In October 24, that company folded in the UK. And to add insult to injury, my husband had just handed his notice in on his career as managing director for a large property agency in London. And I felt really calm, strangely. And all of the work I'd done on myself, I knew that it had happened for a reason. And I was presented with a new skin opportunity as somebody that was super into fitness and health, and honestly, guys, not really into skincare at all. And I said, thanks, no thanks. Skincare's not for me. Yet I kept an open enough mind to look at the opportunity. Thank you, darling. And I got off a call with my would-be mentor, and I just had this gut feeling. Like every single big career decision I have personally ever made in my life, I just had this gut feeling that I needed to run with it. Okay. And fast forward, within my first full month at New Skin, I had earned more than it took me to earn monthly in 4 years in my previous company. So, I absolutely love New Skin. I have been absolutely blown away by the collaboration, the community, the caliber of individuals that I get to work with as sidelines and in my team every single day. And I am so, so honored and so privileged to have the honor have been asked to share about social media. So we had on Monday, we had Louise share about the sprint tracker, the run to Ruby, absolutely incredible video. So please, if you haven't watched those, first go and watch them. I have learned so much, and I have been in this industry for 7 years, yet we never have a full cup. We are always able to learn from other people, and that mindset will really help you grow. And then yesterday we had Catherine sharing about System 7 and about the Fast Start training that is coming. So I'm going to share about social media, and I am going to keep this to 20 minutes or under. And obviously social media is a huge topic. I could do several trainings on it, yet I wanted to create the most impact with what I am going to share, okay? So first and foremost, I want you to write this down, get a pen and paper. If you're watching any of these videos, one thing that I will always say is that if you get a pen and paper and you write down what you're learning, you are going to implement and take so much more away than if you just listen and you don't take notes, okay? Like, I'm a serial note taker. I'm always looking for little ways that I can improve or slight tweaks I can make. And it's always just about being 1% better. It's not about suddenly making swathing, great, massive changes that ultimately are going to make, you find it overwhelming. Okay, we'll pop to the loo, darling. I'll be done in a minute, okay? So with social media, I just want you to write this down. Get in, get out, and get it done, okay? So get in, get out, and get it done. If there was one thing that I learned in the beginning at my last company, and I had to learn this the hard way because genuinely I didn't get much mentorship, was that I was in comparison. And if we're at the start of our business, or maybe we haven't seen the success that we want yet, what we are at risk of doing is being in scarcity and pessimism, okay? And what that means for social media is that you're going into social media, and instead of going in and taking the action on your sprint tracker, you are going in and you're watching everyone else and you're going, oh, okay, well, they do this like this and they do that like that, and I could never be this person, and actually that's not me, and oh my goodness, how does that person do it? I can't do this, okay? And walls start to go up. Post-traumatic stress, okay? I have a rule with myself. If there is any one person that I follow on social media that I find myself in comparison with, which is negative, I will hasten to add, if you're in comparison, it's negative, I just hide their stories. I don't watch their stories. I am not in social media to be on a comparison down a rabbit hole, but a kind of bandwagon. If I'm going to do that, I allow myself to do it once a day. And that's at the end of my day when I've worked on my business. Okay. So get in, get out, get it done. Timers. Timers are going to completely change the outcome of your business if you don't use timers already, because they allow you to get clarity on a specific task that you're doing, and you do not have permission to move on to something else until you have finished that task within the time that you've set yourself, whether it's an alarm or you've just got a timer in front of yourself. This has completely transformed things for me. So if you're looking here on the sprint tracker, for example, and you're looking at the new contact, at the top of my day, I go and follow 70 people, okay? How do I do it? I have my location written on my bio on purpose because I would like to connect with like-minded individuals and mums in my vicinity, because I know they're going to relate to me more because of my location if they're in a similar one. I'm going to go and find maybe places that I like to hang out, or places that I like to go with my children that are local to me, and find like accounts. I don't spend loads of time thinking about who I'm going to follow and who I'm not going to follow. Time is precious. I know that as a result of people following me, that is where the conversation starts, because when people follow you back, they have looked at your page, they have looked at your bio, and they have decided, I'm going to follow this person for whatever reason it is, okay? And that is where my new contacts come from if I'm talking about building cold contacts to warm, okay? And this is what I'm talking about here. So when people follow me, at the top of my day, after I've done my follows, I'll go to the follows section on my social media, and I will look at who's followed me from the day before. I don't always follow them back, and I don't always resonate with the individuals, okay? So I'm going to start conversations, and I will literally start a conversation like, hey, thank you so much, and use their name, okay, incidentally. Thank you so much for following me. I love the support of this awesome community, and I look forward to keeping up with you. I don't ask them questions about their journey. I don't ask them if they're into skin. I don't ask them if they're into supplementation, okay? I'm just warming them up, okay? So the business is built in the DMs. And if you aren't, and you haven't got a measure on where your time is being spent in your business, okay, and I appreciate that most of us work full time. We don't necessarily work this business full time. So therefore, when you are spending time on your business, please start using timers, okay? I would like you to think about, when you go in, that you are on a timer. You are not there to doom scroll. Doom scrolling is the reason why in the beginning, in the previous company I was with, I was like, I do not understand how people are building their business. I don't know how they have the time in the day to build this. Every single time I was getting a message, I was responding to it. It didn't matter whether I was out and about with my family or if I was, sitting at my desk. That is the road to you dialing yourself out of the business. You need to behave as though it's a business and treat it strategically, okay, so that when you are at your desk, or if it's the end of the kitchen table, that's when you respond to messages, okay? I have a set time in my day where I'll respond to messages. And I had to create these boundaries in my day because I'm an all-in kind of person and I wanted to get to the top of the comp plan as quickly as possible. And that meant that I thought I needed to reply to DMs as soon as they came in, okay? This is one area where if you're doing that, it is not a good return of investment of your time, because you're going to end up in this ping pong conversation, and the quicker you reply, the quicker they reply, okay? And it is going to take you away from potentially other conversations where maybe you're in follow-up from a consultation, you're in follow-up from a business presentation, and being that business owner and having people respect you, treat it as a business. Because guess what? If you're always available to reply to DMs as they come in, people think that you're always on. No one's going to want to join you if they think that your business is always on, because why would they want to join a business that means they have to be on 24/7, okay? So as an aside to that, I'm going to just talk a little bit about strategy. So no matter what you're inviting to, whether on this tracker here, you're inviting to a wellness consultation or a skincare consultation or a business presentation, I want you to think about if someone comes into your stories, okay, in a 24-hour period, is there something in those stories that represents what you're inviting to, okay? And I always think about this, about like a full circle, okay? So what's visible on the top and what's invisible underneath. What's invisible underneath is the DMs, the messaging. That's where you want to spend most of your time. Yet the marketing side, so the stories and the posts and the grids, needs to be the top half. It's the top half of the visible circle, okay? So there's an invisible line. If you're inviting somebody in the DMs to learn more about the business opportunity, are there stories over the last 24 hours that reflect that you are part of a business and there's a business opportunity available? Vice versa, if you're in a period where maybe you're trying to invite to wellness consultations, are you talking about products that have made a significant difference to your life in amongst stories that just showcase that you're a human, that you're not perfect, that you're not a billboard brand for new skin? Because I will promise you, if you do that, you are not going to resonate with anyone, because people are going to want to join you because they've related to what is not you sharing the business and what is not you sharing about the product. However, it is important that peppercorned in amongst that visible half circle of that bubble, you are sharing about the thing that you're inviting to. Otherwise, and I again learned this through process of elimination, when my invites fell flat, it was because on the top half of the circle, in terms of what I was sharing in my stories or my grid posts, it wasn't obvious what I was talking about. So send an invitation to learn more about the business, people don't reply. So I've got no idea what she's talking about. It's got no relevance to what she shared in her stories, and it doesn't stack up and it doesn't add up, okay? So really think about that full circle approach. If you're going to invite to the wellness consult, are you talking about the products and results people have had in amongst everything else? If you're inviting to the business, are you doing the same? Okay, so it doesn't matter. And what I love about this is that you could lead top down, you could lead with a business, you're inviting to the business, you're doing business presentations, or it could be that you're inviting bottom up to do with the product consultation, or, you know, you're doing product showcases. It doesn't matter. Just make sure you've got an aligned strategy, okay? You don't need to do 1 million stories a day, okay? 1 million stories a day is not relatable. It feels overwhelming. And for those that are just looking to start in social media, I encourage you to start in small incremental steps and really focus on just building consistency. Because if you give yourself the goal, thank you, darling, of doing 40 stories a day, guess what's going to happen? You're going to be utterly overwhelmed. So just start small, be yourself. Don't try to be perfect. I see so much of this, and actually often what my demographic relate to is when I'm imperfect, the day's maybe gone a little bit wrong, and they're like, oh, okay, she is normal. Like, she's a normal human. She's a normal mum. Okay. So just, that's my demographic. So consistency. If you're going to lead with social media as one of your strategies, and I would argue, as Emma Carpenter shared at kickoff, that you want this juxtaposition of both. You want to move online, offline. You want to move offline, online. It increases the exposure process both ways, that you just want to make sure that you're consistent, okay? It's like opening a shop on the high street. And you have, you have a nail shop, and then one day you're having a terrible day, so the doors are shut and someone goes to the nail bar just down the road and they go in there instead. And I always say that's what your social media is. You want to ensure that, you know, if you're building trust with people, one of the quickest ways to destroy trust with your audience through socials is to just all of a sudden just not appear. They're considering joining you, whether that's on the client side or on the business side, and all of a sudden, like, doors are closed for business, and they don't trust that you're going to be there to help them. So it doesn't mean it's about being extreme. It's just about being consistent, and start small and build up from there. Okay? Be you. Because if you're not yourself, when you attract people into your business and into your client base, they're going to get a completely different experience to what they've experienced through socials. So connections, as I said, I follow a certain number of people a day, and those that follow me back, I will build conversation with. And this is something that I've actually learned quite recently and has been huge for my conversion of invitation into consultation or sharing more about the business. And that's this concept of ping pong, okay? Effectively, you're warming people up. So you message someone, maybe they message you back, and then you message them again. You want to go 4 times back and forth before you send the invitation, okay? And then the follow-up. And this is something that I believe all of us can tighten up on. Just because you sent an invitation and someone hasn't replied, it's not because they think you're weird. It's not because they hate the idea of your network marketing thing. 9 times out of 10, it's genuinely because they haven't even seen your message, okay? So one little follow-up that works really well for me, particularly if it's warmer market, is like, hey, is everything okay? And usually people reply and go, oh, so sorry, been so busy, okay? So it's a great little way of doing follow-up. Content consistency in your grid. If you're going to use social as a tool, bear in mind that offline, someone needs up to 6 exposures before making a decision about whether or not they're going to join you. And online, it's more like 20, okay? And that consistency is built through your stories. And I know that consistency of me sharing my stories and my results in my business and in my kind of product journey is what will bring the people I've seen offline to have more exposures than when I'm not seeing them offline to online. And also that consistency of exposures over time is what's going to get them over the line, okay? So having that consistency in your grid is really important, because if you're just posting stories and you have no strategy around your grid posts, it's really hard for people to get a grasping of you. So in terms of what I share, I really try to have a balance. At the moment for me, I'm really prism led. So once every 10 days, if you go into my socials, you'll see, she posts about prism. I'm really prism focused. I'm nutrition and health and PT and nutritional advisor. So for me, it's prism led. Okay. It's also about me and my family, why I'm doing it, so that I have time with my family. If you go into my grid, you will see that my why is there. Okay. And I share a little bit about my life and also my values and my mindset and the fact that I'm into fitness, because I am into fitness and I'm likely to attract people who are into fitness and health and perhaps have come out of corporate. So really thinking about what you do, what you're about, okay, and making sure you're not trying to own someone else's story, that you're actually like, what do I do? And what am I about? What makes, Izzy unique? Why am I unique? Well, I've moved out of corporate into an entrepreneurial lifestyle because I'm passionate about being with my children. I'm passionate about helping people with their health, okay? And you really want to think about, when you're doing your social media posts, have a blend of reels and posts. You're inspiring, you're educating, and you're motivating. Okay, so inspire, educate, motivate. And if you're someone that's quite fun, throw in a bit of fun. But I would say, think about the end in mind. What's your overall outcome and desire from your social media page? Is it to build a business and get business builders into your business? Is it about having a business where you're having a lot of clients join you? And is that apparent from what you share, in amongst ensuring that you are relatable? Okay. So I really hope that's helpful. I know it was a lot of information. If there was one top line thing that I could share for you from social media that will completely change your business and your outcomes in the way that you build in social media, it's get in, get out, get it done. Write that down, repeat it, and set yourself timers and decide, if this is my business, I must treat my social media not as a hobby, okay? Because it can be treated as a hobby, and all you're ever going to have as a result of that mindset is a hobby business. or that it's a real viable business. And even on the days where you don't feel like showing up, you show up in some capacity, okay? Because that builds trust and credibility. On the days you don't feel like showing up, that shows the strength of your character, your grit, your resilience, and your trustworthiness. And remember, those are all qualities that we look for when we look for business builders. So I hope that's been really helpful. I would love to see what your greatest takeaway was from the video that I just shared. And I hope you guys have an amazing Wednesday. Take care.